Hello, people of Earth. Hello, it is I, Kai from the clouds. Yes, welcome to the Three Man Weave Best Bet Show. We are here. All three of us are here, despite Kai having a picture for his Zoom avatar, not a video. He is here. He is willing. He is participating with Jim and Matthew. And I'm just oh so excited to be with my buddies talking about sports, talking about college basketball. Jim and I went to Dayton last night. It was fantastic. We're still in Dayton. We're actually in a hotel. I don't know why my camera's not working. I apologize, but Jim's is. Hi, Jim. Takeaways from Dayton?
Wait, hi, where are you right now?
I'm in a hotel room, Matthew, in Dayton.
Okay, Jim, where are you in the room too?
I'm in the lobby. Kai won't tell the people the real reason he's not on video. He got in a massive fight last night.
Not
He's
true.
All
Not true.
bruised up.
No. This has happened before. So no. Any parents watching? No fights.
No,
I'm
did not
perfectly
happen.
fine. I look great actually right now.
I'm just teasing. Dayton was incredible. Fantastic environment, fantastic atmosphere. Like the arena, real just like it's not quite Assembly Hall, Matthew, on the sides the way it goes up, but pretty cool setup. Obviously, a little bit of old school there. How about Butler last night? Big old win at Creighton, Matthew. We were a year early on the Thad Matta train last year, but that team can play. They got some hoopers this year. Big old win. Probably gets them in the field right now. But man, Dayton. Shout out to Dayton. What a great spot.
I was locked into my smart guy teams, the Ivies up there in Yale, Princeton. Ooh, it was a delectable basketball game. And the Fighting James Joneses, Mr. McKeon, Yale improves to 5-0, tied with Cornell, who almost lost to Dartmouth.
Yes.
But a fun race up there. It's the best the Ivy's been in a while, and that game was awesome. One of the top 10 venues, I'm told, by basketball junkies.
Cornell?
The Ivy has a lot of good venues. Yeah, no, Yale.
Oh, Yale. Yes.
They have like a 5-level terrace on either basket. Great vibes. Just ashamed I can't be there with you guys in Dayton. Big Flyer guy.
I tell you what, man, I'm putting Dayton Arena up there. UD Arena, very, very cool, very, very unique spot. Shout out to Sully for showing us around a little bit. Had some fun. But let's talk about the slate today, fellas. Let's get into it. Pardon me. Very, very good slate. We're going to start with the big one. We're going to start with Duke, UNC. Yes. The Tar Heels favored by 4. Properly adjusted, I would say. KenPom has the 6. You're going to see that in a couple games today. Matthew, as the big Duke fan, I'm going to let you take the first crack at this one.
Duke looked great at Vatek. Very impressed going into Castle, usually a house of horrors for most ACC teams, and Duke looked like all the way buttoned up on offense, and Ryan Young was dominating Lynn Kidd inside. I was really confused by that. More of an indictment on Virginia Tech's interior defense. That aside, UNC off the Georgia Tech loss, heard about the players only meeting, Jim. So if you're into that sort of like, rally around some, inflection point, the boys circle the wagons, RJ Davis, Armando Bacot, players only meeting after the Georgia Tech loss to gear up for this game. I don't know, probably means nothing to me. I just think UNC's better right now. Like I'm trying to put that Duke game behind me and not be enthralled by what I saw in that game. I just think UNC's better. Armando Bacot, who's been rope-a-doping all year, will play well today, right? That's
what I'm wondering. Will he play well? Because he has not. He has been bad over the last 4 games, and they could really use him going at Filipowski inside. You want to see flipping foul trouble if you're North Carolina. But if Bacot's gonna, put up 5 and 4 like he has been doing, then it's not really not much of a contributor there. The other end of the floor, I think Duke's got decent guys to put on. RJ Davis, like Proctor's got length. He's a really good defender. And maybe you break the glass on Jalen Blakes today, Matthew. Do you think he shows up for a little RJ Davis time? No, Matt's muted. Why even ask?
Matt's always muted.
That's okay.
John Shire hates his bench. John Shire hates his bench. That's my 2 cents.
All right. Well, yeah. I don't know. UNC off a loss. I guess it matters. Players only meeting is really weird to me when you just lost 1 game. It's not like everything's circling. We got to rally the troops type of thing. I lean Duke here, Matt. It feels more like a coin flip. I know it's been bet down a little. As Kai said, it's off the KenPom line some. I would bet Duke if I had to. I would bet under if I had to, but I am not betting this game.
Yeah, and Jim and Matt didn't hear this. I had an epic throat clear, but I forgot to mute the one that actually goes to the YouTube. So super loud for the fellas at home. Apologies for that. It's probably seeming like I'm really banged up right now. I'm not at all. The video's just not working. But I like Duke as well here. No disrespect to UNC. I seem to pick against them quite a bit, but you've now seen twice teams hit threes against UNC. and they haven't covered. They've lost. I think it really keeps turning around, or at least evens out a bit, the 3-point shooting. I think Flip has a huge game tonight. So I lean towards Duke at +4. Nothing strong, and of course in solidarity with my good buddy Matthew over there.
Thank you.
Yes, his Dukedom.
Noted.
All right, next game, another doozy. It's Houston at Kansas. Houston -1.5 I'm seeing out there. Hilarious. KenPom made this 5. No way we're going to get Houston -5 at the Fog. Jim, tough place to win. Tough place to win 6-on-5. Obviously, Fog with the refs, it's going to be a factor. I can't really fade KU as a dog at the Fog, but the gut says Houston wins this one. Thoughts?
Yeah, Kai, this is the third time in 30 years that KU has been a dog at the Fog. They won the previous 2 instances. One was in 2021 against Baylor, and one was in 1996. So, yeah, a little bit back in the history there. I do agree. I think the way Houston defends, we're going to see a lot of KU foul shots. So get ready for that. I'm intrigued by the matchup here, Matt. 2 things. Houston doubles the post all the time. That's going to be interesting against Dickinson. He's a solid passer. He's not elite, but he's a good passer. Does KU hit shots out of that? And then ball screens. Houston loves to trap. Jordan Sperber just had a great video breaking down their defense. They'll trap out of ball screens. KJ Adams' short roll is really good. He's smart. He's a good passer. He'll either feed Dickinson on a lob or he'll hit Timberlake or Furphy in the corner. Can they kind of cut up Houston's defense with that? I'm curious to see. But yeah, I mean, hey, finally have Houston in a real Big 12 venue, Matt. That's tongue in cheek. That's sarcasm.
Wow.
People, can Houston actually do it in a real conference? Yes.
Yes.
They can.
Yes.
They're doing it. Yep. So I'm glad people are actually seeing that. I think I kind of lean against the price here, and I would actually back Houston, but again, not betting this. Do not recommend that strongly. That's just what I would do if I had to, Matthias.
I mean, yeah, you don't think Kansas will get any calls today? Like, I just think it's going to be their game, right? Like, I think we all just thought simply and didn't overthink the first matchup against UConn, where UConn was the better team coming into playing Kansas, who at the time was getting all is Kansas deep enough? Do they have a 5th player? And now Kansas actually has a 5th player, Johnny Furphy. Like, they actually have a depth piece. The worry is that is McCullough fully healthy? Is Dickinson fully right? If they are, I love Kansas. I still like Kansas because the spot's just too obvious to me. Even down to pick. Like Kelvin Sampson was talking on the weekly presser. He's like, in this conference, splitting your 2-leg road trips is really all you need to do. And we already got one. So like, this is a bonus for us. So I don't think Houston, like, I'm not saying they're not hyped for this game, but you know, they lost at Iowa State. They could have lost at BYU. They went to OT at Texas, lost at TCU. Like the Fog, KU in the spot, I just think it's Kansas. I don't think we need to overthink. I think the public, everyone loves Kansas, and the Spinny hat. This is the Spinny Saturday show, correct? Spinny's.
Well, you wouldn't know it except for Jim. Jim's got the Spinny hat.
We're 0 for 3 today.
Someone's got to do it. Someone's got to wear it. But yeah, McCullough's huge. Like, is he even close to full strength? I'd be stunned if he doesn't play. But is he going to be kind of banged up? Is he really himself? Does he give them the facilitation they need? That's the question here, Kai. So we'll see.
Yeah, Self said I anticipate him being able to go. So yeah, he's going. He'll probably play 40. But yeah, I like Houston too. I don't like them. I lean their way. Again, I think the spreads come down too much. It's one of those things where everyone is on Kansas because of the spot, because of Fog, and I get it. Totally get it.
Right.
And they might be right. I'm not betting it, but I do lean towards Houston. All right, let's move on. SEC country, here we come. Tennessee at Kentucky. Another weird home dog here. Kentucky, home dog. Tennessee's -1 at Rupp Arena. Matt, I still think Kentucky's a pretty darn dangerous team, but who's playing? We saw Dillingham out. We saw DJ Wagner out after that. Injury issues, man, for Kentucky. Your thoughts?
I love Kentucky. Dillingham back last game and actually looked really healthy too. He's supposed to miss a couple, but he's back and he looked really good. No, Wagner's kind of huge. He's been a really good creator for them, but that Florida game was more about Florida just making, a ton of great shots and just Florida playing, I think, their A+ game, to be honest, especially offensively, more than it was like a Kentucky, concern type game. They still don't guard people, Jim, but I think at home against Tennessee, I just think they outscored Tennessee. I think the total is low, 160. I think this is like a 180 type game. Just the way Kentucky's been shooting it, and the way Tennessee can score with Dalton All-American Connect going the way he is. Again, Tennessee home road splits are pretty jarring. I think they can win on the road. They play well on the road, but they're valued the way they are in the market because of how insanely awesome they've been at home. I like Kentucky here.
Yeah, Kentucky games are must watch, especially when they're playing a good team. Like Matt says, it's going to be up and down. We're going to see a ton of scoring. I think Tiero is actually a pretty good matchup for Connect. Big, athletic, mobile. Maybe you'll see some Justin Edwards if he plays, because he was out last game too. That's the concern for me here is that Kentucky just doesn't guard. They're going to play a very, very physical team here. We saw Florida get on the offensive glass a little bit against them. See Tennessee doing the same thing. Basically, everybody for Tennessee played awful against South Carolina besides Connect. So I'm expecting a little bit of a bounce back game for the rest of the squad. And it's been said on the show already, Kentucky's not invincible at home. Lost to Wilmington, went to OT with Joseph's, St. Joseph's, lost at home to Florida. I don't think Rupp is this like, holy crap, move the line type of venue this year, especially with how young they are. And Tennessee is a mega veteran squad. So I'm actually going with the road team again here, Kai, against the very, very short home dog. I lean Tennessee.
Yeah, I'm very torn. If DJ Wagner's out, I think it's Tennessee. I've not seen his status. Matthew, have you seen his status?
I have not. I'm sorry. Hot take, not worried about it.
No,
Dillingham, Reeves, Dillingham, Reeves, and Mitchell are Dillingham, Reeves, and Reed Shepard are all the eight.
The on off. I think the on off with Wagner is stark. Like the games he's not played, they have gotten crushed. Basically,
Kentucky fans really talk about how much he matters. I think he does matter a lot.
Yesu's been awesome, by the way, up front. That's the key X factor for me.
He did not play in the Wilmington game.
Florida had 8 blocks.
They're 0-2 without Wagner, I guess is what I'll sum up with.
Yeah, no, he does matter. I know. I'm being facetious partially.
But I do agree with Matt on the tempo. I think tons of possessions. I think 159 is a bit short. I like the over as well. However, again, that kind of ties into Wagner. Wagner's definitely an over player, so it might be a check the lineup sort of thing if you're really looking to bet this game. There's a lot of other games out there, though, fellas. I'll lean the Cats at home, gun to the head, but not without Wagner. All right, next game here. Another popular home dog, fellas. Back in the Big East, we got UConn -3 at St. John's. Here's what Kai says, Jim. Here's what Kai says. Ready? What Kai says? Way too short. Kidding me? UConn. They shot piss poor against Providence and still won by 9. UConn.
Yeah, first game between these two is about as even as it gets, like box score, game script, like just back and forth. But there's no Clingan in that game. And he is just a massive, massive needle mover, shot blocker, offensive rebounder, lob threat. Like Samson Johnson's good. Donovan Clingan is an All-American when he's right. So I think that matters. I do kind of lean towards the road team again here. I feel like I'm getting in trouble just kind of leaning towards road teams in every game. But Matt Patino had a masterful game plan in the first meeting, kind of slowing it up, throwing the matchup zone, and maybe Castle's creation, the way it's emerged, can kind of help solve that. But the shooting between Spencer, okay, stop yelling, folks. The shooting between Spencer and Caravan, I think is tough to deal with for a matchup zone. With that, I will go on mute. I lean towards the road favorite here with UConn, but not betting it again.
Jim, if they're fans, they can yell as much as they want. I think we should encourage.
Are they Bonnies or Dayton?
They are Dayton, and they are. I think they just like are on a work trip, and they're bubbly. They're very bubbly.
Good for them. Go Dayton Flyers. I like St. John's here. Sorry,
wow.
I against the Green Betty contrarian today.
Wow.
Yeah, I do. Just the way that first matchup played out. I think Rick Pitino will have something cooked up here. I've been a little bit discouraged by RJ Lewis, not really playing that well. Patino said he's not practicing. He's kind of a huge piece for them. And they're just not really cohesive right now. Like, I know Xavier is awesome at home, but I thought they would compete in that Xavier game. A little discouraging. That was sort of my, I had this spot circled as like an automatic St. John's bet, but the fact that they didn't compete in that game, Xavier kind of controlled it, especially in transition where UConn can be deadly. Not exactly a sign of optimism today. So I do lean St. John's, but I bet it very teeny tiny, Jimbo, just out of concern from what I saw this week.
All right, fair enough. Yeah, I said my opinion. UConn for me. All right, chat mob time. Matt, you've been rounding it up. Are you the mobber?
I have been a little bit scattered here, but so stay on your toes. Jimbo, we're going to you and the Dayton mob first. How about UMass versus Mason? Ask the Dayton fans what they think. They're probably 8-10 experts out there. George Mason catching for at UMass, the Fighting Frank Martins. Do you have a take here?
Not really. This one's kind of a toss-up for me. I like both teams. Mason has been maybe not quite as good in league play as they were in the non-con, but I mean, two mobile bigs that are really, really effective. Keyshawn Hall's been ridiculous for them. And UMass still pretty young, so I prefer them at home. Hands up, not betting it.
Hi, we got 3 from Harry.
Okay.
I'll get you the first one. I may take one of these 2 here. I have a lot of takes today. Eastern Washington, Kai is a road dog, 2-point dog at Montana, the Grizz. Any take on that one? Ewash off a loss, shockingly.
Yeah, that's the thing. I thought this was a great place to back Montana. However, after Ewash lost Northern Arizona, I'm just not doing it,
Sorry,
Matthew.
Montana State, my fault. Yeah, Montana State. Now they go to Montana.
Eastern Washington's at Montana today.
Yes, they just lost to Montana State, not Northern Arizona.
They lost Northern Arizona, Eastern Washington.
No, they did not.
No, they lost
at
to Montana State.
Yep.
Really? Oh, okay.
Yes.
Well,
God is not always right. God is sometimes wrong. That's how you speak to me from the clouds.
yeah, I think it was a popular thought that they would drop one of these Montana games, and they sure enough they did. Because they dropped that one, I think they do bounce back here. I really like this Eastern Washington team. I think we all do. I think they were undefeated against the spread even in conference play till that loss, maybe one ATS loss. But yeah, give me the Ewash Eagles plus 2.5. I think it is right now. Yeah.
Jim, you're a Lopes expert, kind of. I'll anoint you such for this one matchup. They go to Utah Valley, but they're traveling from their home base while Utah Valley comes back home from Texas. Kind of a tough spot, honestly. A tough home spot for Utah Valley. I feel like you're not getting the juicy spot home that you want against Grand Canyon, given that travel. Short spread, plus 5.5. A take from you.
I would be on Grand Canyon if they weren't off overtime. I don't like that. It's tough to find too. We probably should. I guess we'll get to Florida, but Kentucky's off overtime too. So for anybody monitoring that, going on the road after a big Seattle revenge win, I think I still lean towards Utah Valley, Matt, despite that sort of tricky travel for the home team that you mentioned.
Kai, if it's nice, make it thrice. The third time, James Madison, Old Dominion will lace him up this year. The first was a weird non-conference game, and this is now the second of the conference meetings.
Oh, yeah.
James Madison is really good. Old Dominion is basically waving the white flag. It's a ginormous spread, but do you have any hope for ODU to compete in this game? Spread is 17?
Yeah, and James Madison's won by 15. They've won by 16. Can we not do the non-con conference or conference non-con weird little matchups?
I agree. Like New Mexico State, New Mexico State. Yeah, I don't like that.
I don't think you can back Old Dominion right now, unless you believe Fashawn Allette was a locker room cancer. Maybe he is. Maybe Ewing theory. They get better without him, but I'm not in a hurry to back that. I would lean James Madison or nothing.
Love it. This is a question for me, Matty Ice. That's me, by the way. From Jeff saying they're disrespecting his Orangeman, Hughes. 8.5 they are catching today against Wake. I think it's high too. Wake hasn't guarded anybody lately. I think they can score a lot of points. Put 2 and 2 together, Jim. I like the over. 153. I think there's way more points than that. Damari Monsanto shooting from the parking lot. That's my take there.
Yeah, Wake feels overy, but Syracuse has been kind of an under team in league play, like better defensively and offensively. That surprised me.
Okay, Let's see. I like when data just completely slam dunks on anecdotes. But yeah, you're right. They have been. I had not noticed that. Thank you. But Wake still can't guard anybody. That's where I anchor to. He also asks about Drake, Indiana State.
We'll be in the building.
We will be there.
So give us a boots on the ground. Well, you're not there yet, but if you were there, what would be your take, Jim, on this matchup? Obvious revenge spot for the Blue Trees.
Yeah, and a major sellout of a shockingly big arena. It's almost 12,000 people in Indiana State. I do lean towards the Sycamores getting the home revenge here. I think 5.5 is what I saw most recently. I do lean towards the 6. Kai, I can't wait to be in that arena.
Unfortunately for me, it feels a little bit high. Sorry, just kind of like Bonnie's Dayton. I ended up taking the Bonnies. It just feels a little high.
It does feel high. I agree. God, right back to you, Mississippi State, Alabama. Matty, geography fact, as I shared with both of you yesterday, the 2 closest SEC schools in proximity. Short bus ride. I'm not saying there's no home for Alabama, but this is not a typical travel SEC experience. Revenge on the mind of Chris Jans and the squad, Kai, on the road. My thought was it was too high, +9 at Alabama.
Yeah, a little bit high. And like you said, Bama beat them at Mississippi State by 8. You know, I don't know if Mississippi State can really compete with this Alabama team. I think they're just too powerful, too much firepower, fellas. But the spread does feel high. I agree. Maybe Mississippi State will shoot better than 56% from the line this game, and maybe they'll get within the number. It's a clear stay away from me, though.
Jim, SoCon action, Western Carolina at Wofford. The Catamounts have sort of tailed off in conference play and lost a lot of close ones against the best of the league. I think they can outclass Wofford. I'm not saying they're like men versus boys more talented, but it does feel like they have the better Jimmys and Joes. That's my lane.
Yeah, I'd bet Western Carolina here. That's for me. I just think they're, like you said, a little categorically better. Montarius Woolbright is unguardable for all but the best teams in that league. I will take the Catamounts there.
Kai, I know you love discussing Eastern Kentucky, a team that you should have made lots of money on but did not, and I'm with you on that one. They finally lost at Queens in blowout fashion on Thursday.
Yeah.
Now they're on the road at Kennesaw. Dangerous team, the Owls. Thoughts?
If anybody out there can figure out the A-Sun,
I agree.
Let me know. Go buy stocks or something, or I don't know, pick the future, because the A-Sun is the hardest league, in my opinion, to handicap. Any given night, a team can win by 20, and that includes the worst teams in the league, the best teams in the league, doesn't matter. I'm staying away. Kennesaw's got an awesome home court. I would kind of lean their way, to be honest.
God bless the chat mobsters filling in gaps in our rundown, but the slate's just loaded today. Gonzaga and St. Mary's did not make the rundown, and I think that's actually acceptable given the games we have ahead of them. Jim, we'll go to you for Gonzaga. St. Mary's, the spread opened at 5, some early money coming in on the road. Gales down to 4.5. Feels right to me. I wish I had a take on it. This I don't, though.
Yeah, agree with the money coming in. I just think St. Mary's is playing better right now. I know Gonzaga had kind of a monster performance recently, but St. Mary's is rolling everybody. I like the Gales there. I think it's much closer to a coin flip. I don't totally agree that Gonzaga is better, which the line indicates. So yeah, Gales for me.
Charles Timmons, another question for Maddie. Money lines. Great pointed question, Chuck. Is West Virginia a money line opportunity today? I don't disagree with that sentiment. Hosting the Storm and Mormons, been bet down to 7 and open 9. I thought 9 was too high. I think 7's about right. Does feel like West Virginia rises at home, plays better. Jesse Edwards looks to be healthy-ish. He's got that wrist issue still, and Eilert said he's going to be playing through pain most of the year. But West Virginia, kind of like Siena, I think the market's too excited to bet the team that sucked, that's now healthy. They might just still suck. So I don't know. Keep that in mind, folks. That's all I'm going to say. Kai/God, can I give you an Oregon State at USC question?
Yes.
My Beavers are covering like machines right now, and USC is healthier but still shitty. Thoughts?
I got to get clips of you calling me God out of context. That'd be really very, very good for my ego.
Context will always be part of those clips.
Oregon State, man. I don't think you can trust USC to lay this many points. The Beavers are scrappy. We know this. Now they're outside of Corvallis. That does change things a little bit. But yeah, I lean towards Oregon State here. Tinkle, in my opinion, better coach than Andy Enfield. I think he confused them a little bit with some junk zones, and yeah, go with the Beavers here.
Last one, then back to outline. Jim, roll humps. The Fighting Camels at UNC Wilmington. Camels were feisty to start league play, but they have looked outclassed by the creme de la creme in that league. Wilmington certainly qualifies. I still think 2 touchdowns is too many. I did take the Camels small. You?
Yep, agreed. I think it's too many. Wilmington off the win at Charleston. Maybe you're not going to get super engaged. I mean, maybe I like first half a little more. We know Wilmington has a tendency to get down and then go on massive runs, especially at Trask. So yeah, Campbell first half or full game, I think is solid-ish.
Love it. It's back to rundown, and I will wrangle the rest. Go.
The rundown from the voice up from the clouds. Here it comes. Iowa State and Baylor. So we're going next. Baylor hosting Iowa State. Fantastic matchup here. Baylor -4. We know Hilton Magic is real in Ames, Iowa. Matthew, is it real in Waco, Texas?
I would say it's some magic, partial magic. Not dark magic, though. I thought the line was high. Just Iowa State's played really well, and Baylor has been a little bit dicey. Preseason, the line feels very short, though. This is one of those games where you get worried about backing Iowa State, and then Baylor goes 15 of 30 from 3, especially now that they have Misi playing better up front. They're not super downy soft up front, though they are softer than Iowa State, and that's why Iowa State can compete here on the road. Long-winded way of saying I have no take on this game. Jim, I hope you have something more profound to say.
I sure do, Matthew. TJ Otzelberger is 5-0 against the spread against Scott Drew, covering by almost 12 a game.
Wow.
They had the triple sweep last year. It seemed like the physicality, the intensity really bugged a little bit more of a softer Baylor team. I think this current version of Baylor is more capable of dealing with that physicality with the way Misi's playing, and they've got bigger guards. But I still think Iowa State is a tough matchup for them. I also took the under in the Circa contest that I am back in this year. Whoop, whoop, go Jim. It was 146.5 and quickly is at 142.5 now. Still think maybe a little value, but man, 4 points is a lot of moves, so it's hard to emphatically recommend it. So lean towards Iowa State. Like I said, I bet the under initially. We'll see where it's at right now, or debatable right now.
Yeah, I think your pace is going to be right for the under. I worry about Baylor's efficiency. I mean, every single time they, like Matt said, they can light up the scoreboard. So I always kind of hesitate there. I lean Baylor. Nothing strong though for me in that one. So we can move on to the Pac-12. We go. Colorado at Utah. The Utes -3. Matthew, injuries for Utah, but guess what? I don't really care that much. I think it's a spot where you say, hey, Utah's at home, Colorado's on the road. Utah's very good, even without those guys. Craig Smith. I'm liking the Utes a bit here, -3.
I historically, the home teams had the edge in this matchup, which you would think wouldn't be the case since they both play at altitude. Like there wouldn't be the typical altitude advantage, but that does play well in Utah's favor. Raleigh Worcester, my boy, is likely out today from what Craig Smith implied at his presser. Lawson Lubbering, a chance for revenge, is most likely out as well. Troubling, but I think if Davion Smith's healthy, you have Braden Carlson, you have Craig Smith at home in a ripe spot where like they need this win at this point to make sure they can stay in a tournament picture. They've taken on some water recently. I'm buying into the spot narrative today with some of these home teams, and Utah is one I bid on, Jim. So I don't know if -3 is a great value. It opened at pick, so it seems like the market is kind of seeing what we're putting down. But I still think it's a pretty good bet, even at the current number.
Yeah, laying 3 with a team down 2 starters feels icky a little bit, but the splits are just massive for these two. Utah 7-4 against the spread at home, covering by 8 a game. Colorado 1-5 against the spread on the road, not covering by 7 a game. So if that tells you like how much better versions these are, or like home version of these teams is much better, that certainly pushes you towards Utah. You still have some pretty darn good players there with Smith in there and seemingly healthy-ish with the ankle, and I still think Carlson's a monster. So yeah, Kai, definitely into the home team. Just wish it was still at that pick -1 to bet it.
Yeah, and Kay Bakita's been very good in Lawson Lovering's stead, right? So not too worried about that. Worcester is more concerning, but yeah, Davon Smith, boom, a good replacement there. They've been okay without those two guys. It's been 5 games. They're 2-3 straight up. I think they're also 2-3 against the spread. Might be 1-4. So yeah, tread lightly a bit, but I do think the home road splits for Colorado and Utah are real. And I would lean towards the Utes as well, despite the injuries. All right, back to SEC country we go. Florida. Hey, how about the Gators, guys? Looking good for the tournament now after a huge win against Kentucky. They are at Texas A&M. A&M laying 3 here. Jim, A&M, a bit of a weird team. They pound the paint. They get to the line. They're physical. They're not pretty to watch. Your thoughts?
This is like the most everyone loves A&M spot you can possibly find. Florida's off an OT road win at Rupp. Texas A&M's had a whole week off to prepare. So yeah, they've taken money. I think everybody's on Texas A&M. I get it. The spot really sets up too well to back Florida here, Matthew. But I think Florida can hit shots against the very compressed Texas A&M defense. They're very vulnerable to 3-point shooting, as we saw last year in the NCAA tournament. It's just kind of the way they play. They want to make you shoot over the top and try to turn you over. And I trust Florida's guards here. You just got to make sure you get like an engaged performance from hopefully Kugel, because I think he's a perfect defender to throw at Taylor. He's got size on him, and people just constantly talk about how great of a perimeter defender is when he's locked in. So if you get good Kugel, I actually kind of lean Florida, but the spot is just home run Texas A&M.
Yeah, I was going to endorse Texas A&M, and I'm glad they market bet this up, so now I don't have to. As I think more about it, it doesn't sit well with me. Like A&M really hasn't played good basketball recently. I mean, losing at home to Ole Miss doesn't age well. I mean, they barely beat your Missouri Tigers at home, squeaked by LSU on the road. It was a good road win, obviously, and then losing to Arkansas doesn't look that good either. So I know they're not been healthy. They're healthier. Coleman doesn't look like he's 100%. Feels like they're kind of trying to get things figured out offensively. Buzz is all about just winning the possession battle, right? Like throw it up there, get second, third chance opportunities. Don't turn it over, turn them over. And Florida's tough to do that. And they got size up front. They can rebound, and they're generally pretty well coached. So they don't give the ball away. So I don't know. Part of me is like, yeah, another spot versus gut tug of war for me. I ultimately stayed away.
I'm kind of leaning A&M here. I definitely like Florida, the team better on a neutral, we'll say, but I do think this situation is just much, much better for A&M. I would not back Florida. So A&M are nothing for me in this game. All right, last game on the rundown, then we'll hit Chat Mob Part 2 before some best bets. Mountain West, here we come. Utah State at San Diego State. Aztecs laying 5.5. Matthew, in these spots, you know what I tend to do? I say Mountain West home team. Boom, San Diego State.
Agree. It's 5.
5.5, 5. Yeah, seems high.
Feels high, but my concern is the following. Jaden Ledee has been still awesome, but more of a mortal and less of a god like yourself, Kai, in conference play. Shouts to Tom Mosser. Awesome breakdowns of the Mountain West. Listen to the podcast if you don't already. Talk about how every team is now scheming specifically to stop him, and the Aztecs have certainly leveled off since the intra-conference knowledge has picked up on him. The supporting cast has been dicey. They don't really have like that second forward wing guy. I don't know. San Diego State, I think, is not a fade team, Jim, but they're a little bit overvalued. But I also like the angle of fading Utah State away from home, where they have been much less dominant, much more mortal as well. All that amounts to a no-action fence riding take from me. Sorry.
This is San Diego State for me. I think it's a great spot for them. They're off a loss coming back home, whereas Utah State's off a big week. They got the Boise win last weekend and then San Jose State during the week. I love the individual matchup of Ledee versus Osobor. Like, that is phenomenal. Maybe Isaac Johnson guards Ledee for some of the game, but he's more of a perimeter big. So I just want those two Godzillas to go at it in the paint. Excited about that one. I don't really see Utah State running away with the Mountain West, which they kind of would start to do if they win this one on the road. So Kai, I'm definitely San Diego State here. The Aztecas back home in San Diego. I'll take them.
Yeah, wild stuff.
Breaking news real quick. Sorry, breaking news from John Rothstein. Trent Pierce is out today for Missouri against Vanderbilt. Averages 1.9 points a game.
If not today, when?
Count for that.
If not today, when? If not us, who? Matt, go Tigers.
The Missouri Tigers will figure it out someday.
On any given day, Jim. On any given day. Why would John Rothstein tweet that? He must be getting no responses this hour from coaches.
He's not important, people out there. Yeah, Jim, to your point, Utah State, man, 7-1 in the Mountain West. A full game up on Boise. This team is fantastic. Danny Sprinkle, man, Coach of the Year in the Mountain West. All right, Matt, Chat Mob Part 2, man. Round it up. Let's do it.
We have some back-to-back Ivy League action. I know the Ivies have messed with their schedules. They don't play back-to-back every weekend, but they are this weekend. Cornell squeaked by Dartmouth. Now they play Harvard today. Tricky matchup. Harvard's talented. They're healthy, but I still think the better coached and just better team probably wins today. Jim, is there value on either side here? Cornell laying 4.5 on the road at Cambridge.
I don't have a whole lot. I like Harvard as a dog. They're pretty darn feisty when they're in that situation under Amaker. I think they're like a 60% shot when they're, and maybe even higher than that when they're an underdog. Now home dog, Cornell off a squeaker, barely surviving after Dartmouth or against Dartmouth last night. I lean Harvard there personally.
Yeah, I took 4.5 the exact same price against Yale, and Yale smacked Harvard. So kind of a transitive property comparison there. I'm not sure if I buy that Cornell and Yale are equals, but maybe they are. Kai, how about Washington State at Washington? The battle for the apple up there in Seattle. That doesn't rhyme, but it kind of rhymes. Both teams off for a week. Injury concerns, mostly on Washington's side. We talked about how Frank Kepnang means the world to that team, at least like it seems like he does.
He's been out forever.
Problematic. Yeah, he's been out for forever. I assume he's not coming back today. Problematic against the size up front of the data rate Cougars. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely like Washington State better. Kepnang's been out for like 10 games. I've kind of stopped considering him in the line. I think Washington is what it is at this point. Certainly have not looked great without him. I think they're better at home. Not that it's a long travel from Pullman to Seattle. Matthew, get your geography going for Washington.
It's a pretty hefty travel.
Is it a hefty lug?
I'll look it up.
Washington State's on the verge of the tournament, man. I really hope they get there. I think they can against this Washington team. It's a short spread. I think they're a slight dog, slight favorite, -1. Let's jump
basically
around.
Pick,
Call it pick.
Yeah.
I lean towards the Cougars. Yeah.
4.5 hours. Yeah, it's Pullman's right on the Idaho border. Seattle's way up there. So I don't know. You bus or you fly?
As the crow flies,
right?
A Pac-12 team, I think they fly.
I think they're flying, right? I know they're not. Well, they're all bleeding cash. That's why they're joining the Big Ten, but they probably have enough money to afford a commercial flight at least.
Not
anyway,
Washington State.
Let's continue.
They're going to the WCC.
Or WCC, that's right. They're probably not well funded. My guy Jet, he's on Big Sky Travel Special. I like him targeting the travel spots. That's my kind of guy, Jet. Idaho State played 2 overtime, then made the awful trip from Greenlee to Flagstaff. He will be on NAU Moneyline. Jet, I'm with you. I shake your hand in solidarity. We saw what was it? The Denver, South Dakota double OT spot last week, and both teams were absolutely murdered the next game. That's a Summit, not Big Sky, but very comparable situation here. I did take NAU. Northern Colorado is a fireball gym, but NAU's been playing sneaky good too. So yeah, I like the spot.
I don't know if they've been playing sneaky good. I'm not a big fan of NAU lately, but the spot's home run terrific. So I agree with you there.
Hi, Oracle, Fordham, 1.5 there, catching basically a pick 'em at SLU, who might be the dead men walking at this point. Fordham as a road dog intrigues me, especially against a team that could be just a bunch of corpses. Any value do you see on the Rams on the road?
Yeah, road dog +1. Yeah, not a huge one, obviously, but I lean towards Fordham as well. That's basically just a slew fade at this point. I do think the team
right.
I do think the team's a bit in disarray. Word is Travis Ford's gone after the end of the year, so I think it's kind of a run up the clock situation for them. Yeah, I lean towards Fordham.
I'm going to regret not betting that one. Jim, South Carolina at Georgia. Georgia won at South Carolina, which is a win that's aged like fine wine. I confidently then backed Georgia against Alabama, and then Alabama went on a 20-2 run to close the game. Loser for me. I almost went back to the Georgia well today, again at home, but South Carolina's been really good too. I don't know. A lot of conflicting thoughts in my mind here. Do you have a take?
A little bit of a sell high on South Carolina. I mean, they can't play better than they have been lately. Just picking up big win after big win, going to Tennessee, beating Kentucky at home soundly, convincingly. I kind of lean Georgia here, where you sell a little bit high on the Gamecocks. And Georgia is like sneakily in the NCAA tournament discussion. I don't think they're even on bracketmatrix.com at all, but they're right there with resume metrics. This would be a big one for the Dogs.
All right, I'm going to pause here for a quick station identification here. If you have not liked or subscribed, first of all, shame on you. Second of all, do so right now. You have God watching. You have me and Jim, 2 mortals here, watching you via Big Brother format through the Zoom machine. So please do that right now. We'll pause for 5 seconds here while I round up the last batch of questions. 3, 2, 1. Thank you for your likes and subscription. Please do that if you haven't done already. Back to the mob we go. Harry R. asking a question for me, as he usually does, as he should. UNLV, Boise State, San Francisco. We talked about Boise a little bit, but UNLV and San Fran. Jim, the Dons are laying big numbers today against the against Pacific, who's terrible. And then UNLV is laying also big numbers against Wyoming, who actually like. I'll give you the San Fran question. What are your thoughts there?
Darn, I was hoping you'd give me the other one. I like Wyoming plus 9.5, but I'll go the other way. Pacific, awful, terrible. And San Francisco has shown that they can blow out bad teams pretty convincingly. Ooh, more lights. That's fun. Yeah, I would lean home San Francisco, especially. I mean, they're not going to be in the title race, but the net tiebreaker still matters for them. So there's incentive in that league to win big.
Hey, Pacific took them to overtime game 1. Remember that?
Yeah, good point. And they covered against Gonzaga. We're up 1 against Gonzaga at the half. That team's not back. They're not back. The time that they are. Air Force. Okay, I'll spoil one of my best bets today. Air Force, one of my best bets. Great identification of the spot here. Boise off the absolute monster win, like win of the year for that team, maybe in the league at New Mexico. Come back home, play Air Force, who has been much better on the road. A feisty, tough to prepare for team you can easily fall asleep against. I think Air Force keeps this very competitive in what should be a pretty low pace game. I know Air Force has been scoring more points lately. I'm not sure it's going to be low scoring, but I think it's a low pace, low possession type game. I like plus 12, plus 13 with the air troops. That's all I have. Andrew Smathers asking about, he was the guy who asked about Air Force. Andrew, great question. That's all I have to say. Steven, Northwestern, Minnesota, Kai, Big Ten home teams are better than road teams.
They are.
However, the last 7 days, Big Ten home teams are only 7-6 against the number. Do you have a thoughts on this game? Northwestern off the crazy Purdue game.
You just don't go in the barn and expect to come out with a victory. The cows are there, the horses are there, the chickens are there, all kinds of barn animals. I lean towards Minnesota here today. Nothing strong. Northwestern's been impressive, especially against teams named Purdue, but I lean towards the Gophers.
Yeah, that's a tough spot off that OT loss going to the barn. I like Minnesota too.
Jim, I will refuse to talk about Long Beach State because I'm absolutely disgusted with their effort at Cal State Bakersfield. Marcus Tishonis was a shocking No play. Kind of ruined my bet there. Just absolutely terrible. Bakersfield was in fuego from three. They haven't made threes in years. It made no sense to me. Now San Diego plays at Long Beach, who may get to Shonas back today. He was sick last game. Feels like he matters, but UC San Diego is like the Lakers of the 80s. So I don't know why you'd ever fade them.
Yeah, bet UC San Diego. That's my take on that game. I just think they're better. And if Sahonis is not healthy or not in the game at all, then they're really struggling to create on the perimeter. UC San Diego is ridiculous. They're awesome. So fun team to back right now.
Jim, Timmy asking about some. Actually, we'll holster that one. Kai, I want to go to you here for Texas Tech hosting Cincinnati. Big 12 matchup here. The Fighting Grant McCasland. Since he's been feisty on the road as a dog in Big 12, I think they travel well. I do like Texas Tech overall better as a profile as a team. 5 felt short to me. That was my thought. -5. Thoughts on this game?
I like Texas Tech, man. I really like this team. Grant McCasland. Hopefully people out there can see why we've been singing his praises so much. He's been excellent. I mean, he has them right at the top of the league. Obviously coming off that TCU loss, but per Ken Pom, per Matt Cox, the number one home court advantage in the country is Texas Tech. They are very good at home. Since he just lost to West Virginia on the road, they are definitely mortal on the road in the Big 12. I lean towards Texas Tech here.
Jim, Maryland catching 6.5 at Michigan State. Both teams are sort of in that bubble-ishish territory, kind of. I can't. Maryland's a whack-a-mole team for me. Michigan State feels like they're starting to do the Izzo March thing, right? Am I jumping? Is that cart before horse? Your thoughts? 6.5?
Yeah, maybe not quite to that level, but Maryland's sneakily playing a lot better lately. Yeah, they're one of the highest teams on Haslametrics momentum statistic. They're just playing much better. These two had kind of a weird game just a week and a half ago or 2 weeks ago in College Park. Michigan State barely pulled it out. I think this one stays close, but I am not going to recommend backing a Big Ten road team despite the recent evening out of that. So I lean I lean Maryland, but I'm not betting it.
Last 2-pack. Sorry, Kyle. I'll go to Jim. I feel like he has better Patriot intel than both you or I. Jim, correct me if I'm wrong here. Bucknell American, Lafayette versus Army. I couldn't have less of a take here. I know Lafayette's been wildly better in conference play, and I don't really understand why.
They have not the last two, though. They've struggled a little bit.
They've still lost the last 2. Thoughts on either one of those? American laying 5 and Army is laying, catching 3 at home against Lafayette.
I wish I could say I had awesome Patriot takes because I wrote this for the Almanac, but I have not bet it very well so far this year. I think the Americans like the one real over team, I feel like, in this league. So I think Bucknell's actually willing to run a little bit against them. I would lean over in that game and probably American. I just don't think Bucknell has the goods. American is better, and I like their first year coach. And then Lafayette Army, that feels like stone cold under to me, like a 51-48 type of game. I know the number's low. Don't have a take on the side. Lafayette's been, like you said, a little bit whack-a-mole, but I think that's low scoring and slow.
Final thought before we get to best bets here. I like my Delta Devils today, catching 10 at home against Arkansas Peanut Butter. Just a thought for those of you who want to get down and dirty and bet some swaction. I like them. I think they cover.
Wow.
Come on, George Ivory. Give me a cover there. Kai disagree, it sounds like.
I don't disagree. It's just, dumpster diving.
Bad team. Don't bet bad teams.
Yep. Worst team in the country, they say.
Factually correct. The dead last in Ken Pom's ranking, below the last little final bar in his indentions with IUPUI. IUPUI. How wrong was the world about that team? Anyway, let's go to best bets. Who is ready? I can stall while you guys search and scour yours. I know there's been some movement, as there always is during our shows. The weave steam's very real. Jim, you seem ready and prepped. Let's get your best bets and maybe one from the crowd in the lobby there.
Yeah, we'll see. What do you guys think? All right. Bowling Green is my first best bet. It's up to 7.5. Got it at 7 for that contest. I think fading Central Michigan is smart right now because Anthony Pritchard very likely out. Their do-it-all point guard, Tulsa transfer, had his shoulder just in like the biggest ice pack you can imagine at the end of the last game. Central Michigan also off an a double OT, excuse me. So I think it's a perfect spot for Bowling Green. Shorthanded opponent, off tough game. So Bowling Green -7.5, and I'm going to go with UC San Diego as a best bet. Matthew -1. Just talked about it. I'll ride with the Tritons, as you so lovingly call them. Oh my God, what is that device? And then FAU Tulsa over, lots of points. That's my last one. Those are my 3 best bets. Kai, I'll kick it over to you.
Hey, thanks, Jim. Oh, by the way, Kansas down to pick now. Look at that. Someone on Twitter said it. They guessed what my best bet might be. I'm going to go ahead and give it to them. Wyoming plus 9.5. Yeah, it's too many points. Wyoming's been playing a lot better in the Mountain West lately. I don't really trust the UNLV team. 9.5 is too many. 9.5 plus 9.5 Wyoming.
I agree with that, Kai. My best bet, I mentioned Air Force is 1. I also have Georgia Southern. Fading App State's not a fun thing to do, but they did play them competitively at App State. Georgia Southern's been much, much better at home this season, especially in conference play, right? I think that whole non-con swoon is behind them. They've been healthier. I think Charlie Henry can really coach the boys. We're starting to see evidence of that, despite a somewhat desolate roster. I think at home this game's much closer. We shall see. Air Force was number 2. I mentioned that. And then my third and final bet, I'm going UTEP. We're hanging loose with my Miners.
Oh, no.
Catching Liberty. It's an easy travel from Liberty from New Mexico State to UTEP there, but I think Joe Golding and the boys are playing better. They should not be catching 5 points in this game. So I took +5 here with my Miners. Hang loose. Mine on.
Fantastic. Thank you, Matthew. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Chat Mob. Apologies about the camera work today. I don't know what the issue is, but you saw me in still form. You hear my voice. You see Matthew. You see Jim. At least Jim's wearing the spinny hat. If you guys don't mind, please hit the like button and hit the subscribe button, please, on your way out. Appreciate you stopping by. Good luck on your bets today. We are back on the same channel for our weekly podcast next Wednesday. That's 1 p.m. Central. We're still working on getting the Best Bet show more times per week. I'm thinking a good aim for that is probably after Super Bowl. It's looking good, but we still are just not quite there yet. Little things to tie up in the background, but hey, no concern of yours. Watch some basketball today. Enjoy it. Jim and I are going to Indiana State. Fire up 6. Be good. See ya.